So, I don't think you've ever heard about a meditation and finding yourself the way Anish explains it in this video. So, if you're someone who's an entrepreneur, a leader, somebody who is really out there, doing your thing in the world and hustling, this is the video for you because this is going to really connect you with who you truly, truly are. And I cannot say any more about this. This is freaking awesome. Hey, what's up, y'all? I am so excited today. I have Anish Patel here. And by the age of 25, he left behind the grind of London's 9 to 5. I'm 52. All right. We're still trying to figure that out. So we need to speak to Anish today. All right. Because that is amazing. All right. So he left that for a daring 7-year journey across South America, building a 7-figure video advertising company, facing all these deep challenges like burnout and depression. And so, Anish, I'm glad you're here because we need you. So we gonna go ahead and start with that. We need you. So, Anish, tell us a little bit more about you. Who are you?
Big question. Who am I?
I
Well,
know, right?
I'm a human being, and I've just tried a lot of stuff, a lot of shit, and I've never been afraid to do it. I've followed my heart and my gut, and I've always took me to my place where I feel alive. That was my
Mm,
guiding signpost. And thank you for the great introduction. I'm very happy to be here as well. I love your energy. I quit my job at 25. I worked in investment banking. I had a great job. I was a team
yeah, it's a
leader,
great job.
very good job, good salary. My parents thought I went absolute crazy when I left
I'm
Be-
sure.
because this is the part you don't know. Fun fact: I actually quit to become a tango dancer. So that was the reason when my father asked me like, "What? Why are you going to Argentina?" I said, "Oh, I'm going to be a tango dancer."
Oh my God.
British Indian kid, has a great job, is going to the great places with the career, and suddenly quits to become a tango dancer in a random country on the other
That
side of
is
the world.
too funny. Oh my gosh. You know what? I have adult kids now. I have a 36-year-old and 30-year-old and 33, whatever, whatever. And I'm thinking, I would have killed you. I would have just been like, what? Are you doing what? Oh, that's so funny. But that transition from the 9 to 5 grind, right? That's what we've all been built to do. Like I think we just been society has built us to be 9 to 5, 9 to 9, I call it, because it's never 9 to 5. It's never 9 to 5. It's always beyond that, right? And so, you know, to then go and building your 7-figure company, to embark on this like self journey, what was that? What was that turning point for you though? What actually made you say, you know what, I don't care what my parents think. I don't want to do this anymore. Like what was that? What happened?
Well, I'm a very sensitive person. I worked in this bank, and I love to work hard, and I love to see I was getting things done. I was a team leader in my role, but I just sensed that I wasn't very happy deep down.
Mm,
I
mm,
was feeling empty when I left the office. So I was like, wow, everything's great on the outside, but I'm not feeling full inside myself. Something's
mhm,
empty. So it started with that, and I was daydreaming about tango and dancing. I was watching YouTube videos all the time about dancing in South America, and I had daydreams about living on the other side of the world. So it kept coming back and coming back.
mm.
I remember one day I kept telling my friend I'm going to go to South America, I'm going to move to Argentina. And one day he just like turns to me and goes, Anish, you've been saying that for years. You're full of shit. You're never going to do it.
Mm.
He really triggered me in a good way. And I put
Yeah.
it in my book, The Magic Bullet, because it was the truth I needed to hear. And then I said, you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to go do it. I quit my job the next day. I broke up with my girlfriend of 3 years at the time. And I went. I took a one-way
Wow.
ticket. And that was
All right,
crazy.
Anish. Yeah, that's a little cray cray. But I understand that though, like that wanting to do something so much. And I think it does take that, doesn't it? It does take something to hit you for you to say, okay, what am I doing actually? Same thing happened with me. I mean, I was in the grind, 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 grind. And then I was like, I looked at my husband, I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm like, we're moving out of state. He's like, we're moving out of state. I'm like, yeah, we're moving. So we moved. And I am so happy. I'm so happy. And I got to live next to my kids who were living in Texas while I was living in Connecticut. And I get it. I didn't move across the country or the world, but I left a really, really good paying job, to just be. And I love that. I love that you're doing that. I love that you decided that you were going to do. Now, the question is, did you become the tango dancer? Tell me you did, please.
Okay, unfortunately, to disappoint your viewers, I did not. I danced for 3 years to be. I was doing tango for a long time.
Oh,
This is
good.
the thing. Life will hit you in unexpected ways because when you go somewhere, your plans fall to shit. When
Yeah.
I landed in Buenos Aires, this seven-figure company didn't start straight away. What ended up happening is I ended up effectively becoming like a nightclub promoter. So I was out every night, but I was filming a YouTube channel.
Mm,
I was filming a channel where I was out at parties, and the idea was I was going to put the videos up on YouTube on a website, help tourists to know what the nightlife was out like in Argentina. And there was no business behind it. I just loved making videos. I liked
right.
being in front of the camera. I was like an early day influencer, and it went to complete shit. I hope I can swear because I swear a lot. I am.
Too late now after the fifth
I,
swear word.
screwed your ratings and your
That's so funny.
no, I ended up doing all this crazy stuff in Buenos Aires, and my parents thought I was even more crazier. But I enjoyed it. But I wasn't making any money, so I went completely broke. I spent all my savings. I hit a big low.
Mm, mm,
My emotions, everything was at rock bottom. I had shingles. If you don't know what that is, you don't want
yeah.
to know. And then I took a mysterious trip to the mountains for 3 days. I just got up, I took my backpack on my, I think it was 27th birthday, and I just went there just to be with myself because I was like, look, I'm a complete mess right now. I'm broke, worse than broke. I was in debt, 7,000 pounds. And I went in the mountains in silence. I was with myself. And then I just said, well, what do I really want in my life? Like, what do I really want to be? And I don't know where it came from, but I came back with this renewed courage that I wanted to be financially independent, not just for myself, but I didn't want to ask my father for any more money. So we're going deep into father wounds because I wanted to be my own man. I
Yeah.
wanted to be my own person. And from there, I came back and started this company on my kitchen table, renting this apartment with my friend, moving from hotel to hotel. I was like nearly homeless because I just didn't have the money to keep ends meet to pay rent and things like that. And then slowly, I just made it happen. I created this video company. I hired more people, and I hit a turning point at one point where I was breaking even. I had one client who, I mean, I don't know if you believe in miracles. I don't know if it was luck or miracles, but
I do believe in miracles.
it happens. One client came to me. He came to me. He was a tech company, and he said, "Can you do a video for us?" And I said, "Okay, yeah, sure." And I don't know, for some reason, something in me said, "I'm going to make this really, really special." I had a deep feeling about it, and I didn't know that this client was a part of a tech incubator in the United States, in California somewhere. So they just shared it with everyone, and then I blew up.
Oh, that's so good.
And then what ended up happening was like I was having so much money coming in. I didn't get a company account. I had a personal account. Money was coming in there that the bank called me and goes, "You know what, sir, you can't use this account for because you know what, this we have to shut you down because there's too much money coming in here and you need a business account."
What a problem to have, Anish.
A good problem. That was a good problem.
That's a good
Um,
problem.
and then it just went from strength to strength, and it really came from that passion that I had for video making, and which I still have to this very day. And the story doesn't end there. I went through burnout. Then I was making so much money at one point, and then I realized again I'm not happy again. I'm
Oh,
depressed. I moved to Berlin. I was married to a girl there. We ended, and I moved to Berlin. And then that was the start of my spiritual, emotional journey or awakening, whatever you want to call it. But it wasn't an easy awakening because I went through a lot of drug addiction, alcohol, and I was heavily in that for a while until the
Mm,
end. Something in my brain switched, and I started. Well, this is where it gets even more crazy. I locked myself in my Berlin apartment and started and lied on the floor for like 10 days. I didn't want to see anyone. I was just there being with myself. People call this meditation. I didn't know. I just wanted to just be with myself. I had a massive awakening at that point. Just cried my eyes out, and a lot of emotions popped up, and that was the beginning of where I started exploring my inner world.
mm,
And I went through a huge spiritual journey after that, where I was just exploring myself. Because when I do something, I go very deep. I'm very uh, very focused. And I went through the whole spiritual marketplace, all the different things out there, personal development. And I got to the end of it where only a few years ago, I was like, I'm improving, but I'm also, this is a rabbit hole, which
mhm.
also doesn't get me anywhere. Because I realized that it's good to be spiritual and it's good to do these practices, but I think it's important to have goals in life. Being a business person, being a person of the world is important, just as important as spirituality.
Yeah.
But I had a big shift in myself as well, where I shed a lot of deep pain and shame, uh, which I had for a long time. And now, at this point where I'm talking to you, I got to the point where I wanted to help entrepreneurs to not go through what I went through because I went through all these problems. I didn't have anyone who could help me at the time. This was way
Right.
before. There wasn't the problem with spirituality and the problem with business is that they don't really cross over very well. You're either
Mhm.
very spiritual and you're wearing fancy beads and robes and completely disconnected from the world, or you're in the business world where you're hustling and fighting and um, I think we can be in the world and we can be also very present and spiritual
Yeah.
at the same
Yes.
time. We don't need to dress up in robes and grow a big beard and
Yeah.
meditate
I
hours on end. I think there's a simpler solution. So I just realized like me being a businessman, I'm still a businessman, but I still would like to help people do it in a way that's easier.
yeah, and congruent, right, to what they're
Concurrent.
seeking. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. I mean, I'm a transformational life coach too, and I help women with their inner healing stuff and transcending unwanted behaviors and finding who they really are, where they want to go to where they were. And that's because of the same thing as well, not the same thing, but a lot of the feelings of feeling lost, neglected, not wanted, shame, unforgiveness, like all that stuff I had to transcend, crying on the floor too, right? Boo-hooing and just trying to get to myself. And also I'm also very practical. I also know systems and networking and all that stuff is also very important. And so I love that you're doing that, right? Because one of the things I'm realizing today, that burnout and depression are at a high. I mean, they are on a high, right? And so because the world today is so high pressured, because not only now do you have, the pressure of your either your business if you're an entrepreneur, your career if you're working for someone, but you also now have the pressure of watching everybody else live this amazing life online. And so like there's this amazing stuff going on. Oh, look at that one picture they took. Oh, I wish I had everything they have, right? And that's happening a lot. And so I want to ask you what advice you're going to give all the entrepreneurs who are listening, because I have a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to the show. What would you give to someone feeling stuck, or advice you would give them that they're feeling stuck in that cycle of that depression and burnout?
The advice is very, very simple, but maybe your viewers may or your listeners may not like hearing it because it's so simple. Um, I say that definitely accept where you're at. Like if you're going through a struggle, or you're feeling a certain thing or stuck, it's okay to be stuck, and it's
Yeah.
okay
Yeah.
to be feeling unworthy. Yeah, this disease with social media, people showing how great they are and how great their life is. At the same time, it's not very real.
That's right.
it's not real. But then the interesting reaction happens in this happens in me still today. It's got less, but it's still there. We beat ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We beat ourselves up because we say we're not at that point where they're at. But the interesting thing is we're comparing ourselves to an illusion.
Right.
I have no idea
100%.
what the other
100%.
side is.
Yep.
Yeah. So to be kind to yourself is to be like, look, I'm okay as I am here right now. This is okay. And sitting with yourself and really being with yourself. I'm not going to say meditation because that word is used a lot. It's just being really sitting with yourself in silence and just being, okay, where exactly am I at right now? Can I just accept where I'm at? Can I accept
Yeah.
the distance of where I'm at? And allow that truth to come up in you and that guidepost to come up in you. Because I think we've, a lot of people have become very disconnected with themselves where they're like following lots of other people and other people's advice.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone can follow anyone's advice. My coaching is not about I don't coach anyone. I point them back to themselves.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
what you got to find what's good for you. I can give a reflection based on what I observe, but ultimately it's their choice and their guidance inside themselves to go on the route that they need to go on. And I use this word in my book. I call it outlier. Outlier is okay. It has a meaning of a deviation of a person who deviates out of the norm. But I think we're all original in our own aspect because we all
Yeah.
choose our path and we're all very original in who we are and what route we go down. And I want to encourage that in a lot more people just to be like, look, trust yourself. Whatever, even if it's weird, it's okay, because even if it doesn't make millions of dollars, that's okay.
It is okay.
We all need to be rich. We don't all
That's
need to
so
be
freaking true.
famous.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not,
so true.
it's
And
not,
I think it's a lot of the media too, and what like what you were pointing at, and what you're looking at, because back, yeah, I'm 52, right? So when I was younger, we didn't have all the media stuff, the social media and all that. And people just worked hard. I mean, I remember just people talking about the jobs that they were in. Oh, I work at this job. Oh, that's a great company, blah, blah, blah. Nobody really cared. It wasn't like a competition thing. It just, everybody just worked and, lived their lives and bought a house next door and all that kind of stuff. And then as we started to become more aware of all of the stuff around us, or all of the stuff that people have that we don't, and that's the catch. When you start to compare yourself with everybody else, or start to think that everybody has and you don't, right? I mean, that's where it starts to, really get shady. I remember when we used to, when I was, much I'm married 27 years, but much younger in my marriage, I used to always look at the other couples that had everything and me and my husband didn't. But you know what? Me and my husband were super freaking happy, right? So, and they weren't. And then I discovered that later on. And I'm like, see, Nina, stay in your lane. You know what I mean? Just stay in your lane and understand that you have whatever God has put in your life, and be grateful. I am grateful every morning for what I have in my life. And if something more comes, beautiful. May I have the room to receive it, right? And also to give, because I believe in that. I believe you should also give. So, Anish, tell me about that. Like, you're talking to people right now who are high achievers. A lot of people who listen to the show are entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, coaches, things like that. And they're out here trying to get their grind on and do their thing. When you talk about presence, I want you to give them something that you do, some kind of practice, something that you feel is important for you to be with yourself, because that's a little bit hard sometimes when you don't know what that means, you
yeah.
know? So give me something, or give them something that they can actually put into place to help themselves be present, or what that is for them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, there's two things that I recommend. Now, it's up to everyone what they do in their. I recommend some kind of movement, present movement,
Mm.
and some kind of still kind of practice. So I do qigong. I'm a qigong teacher. So right now, for me, qigong is a very powerful way to be present and cultivate energy, because qigong was used by the early Chinese Zen masters to cultivate energy and in martial arts. So they were training the emperors because they were all skilled in martial arts as a way of discipline and to have enough energy to do what they had to do. You know, emperors had to rule empires and to go
Yeah.
to war and enormous pressure. But things like qigong gives them so much energy that they feel like they can take on, and they have the capacity to take on the challenges. Because stress, and overwhelm are just reactions to the lack of energy we have inside us.
Mm,
When we
that's
have a
good.
full container, I call it container, our body, when we have a full tank of energy, and we can achieve things, a lot of good things out there. The problem is we try and achieve things way beyond the energy we have inside ourselves. This is where the pressure comes in. So I say in my book, imagine you're a guy who lifts or bench presses 100 kg, and now you want to bench press 200 kg, because that's where I should be, right? But then you
Mm.
go do it. What happens? Your arms rip off.
Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
hurt
Yeah.
yourself. So what I say about in my book about energetic practices, I say cultivate the energy first. Cultivate that sense of foundation of energy inside yourself, and incrementally then challenge yourself to go that step extra to what you want to do in your business. And then you'll get there. I mean, it'll take step by step, and maybe it might even jump. Who knows? But if you take time to energize yourself and to cultivate this energy, like in practices like qigong, yeah, meditation can do the same thing. The only
Mhm.
thing about meditation I have a problem with is that a lot of that stuff, especially now with the head, the apps,
Oh, yeah.
headspace,
Mhm.
they act as a band aid. So you're not really using the mechanism properly. So meditation is about being deep into your body. And in that process, you cultivate energy even through that process. So I almost say to a lot of my clients, don't do any kind of meditation, don't do any techniques, just sit there in the quiet, dark
Mm.
room and
Yeah.
breathe.
I mean, that's where a lot of stuff is gonna come up too, right, Anish? So, our minds are constantly running,
Mm.
right? Do you so you're saying, just to sit there until you are at peace or at least can connect with who you are deeply, right? That takes time, doesn't it? So, do you have a practice or recommendation for somebody who wants to start that? Like, do you start with a few minutes at a time? Do you start 10 days on the floor like you did? Like how do you start that, right? How do you start that?
Well, the 10 days on the floor was pretty drastic. I
Yeah.
mean, I probably did that because I was in such a bad state that part of me was like, there's no other choice except do this. For most people, their thresholds are different. I would probably say 30 minutes. 30 minutes is a good time, and then I
Mm,
would increase that to 1 hour. Now that's people. If I this is gonna be like, no fucking way, I'm doing 1 hour
right.
because
The
I
30 minutes, I was thinking the 30 minutes. I'm like, 30 minutes. I don't know if I could do
yeah, I know
30
it's
minutes.
hard, isn't it?
It's hard. Yeah, it's really hard. I could do a
Most
few
people,
minutes, not 30.
people's thresholds are 20 minutes. I'd probably say 20 minutes, 15 minutes. They're like, oh, do 15, 20 minutes meditation. I'm like, that won't do anything. That's
Wow.
the honest truth. It will do nothing. All it's going to do is your mind will say, oh, yeah, I feel really calm right now, but I'm good. But you're not really changing. Now, when you do 30 minutes to 1 hour, yeah, things will start coming up. I
Mm,
promise you. Sadness will come up, shame will come up, anger will come up.
yep, yep, yep.
But
Do
these
you
aren't,
just sit did you just sit through them, Anish, as they
yeah,
come up? Or do you process them as they're coming up?
well,
Like,
yeah, you don't,
yeah,
you process them naturally because the body knows what to do.
right.
Your body knows exactly what to do. It's only our mind that's the thing that gets in the way, or our ego
Mm,
gets in the way. So you just imagine it, we're like a pipe, and we just try and be in our body, and the stuff will just float up because our body just knows how to expel it. It'll float up. Then what I call the lid on top of the container, your ego will be like, no, you're not
right.
coming up.
Right, right,
That's when
right.
your mind starts saying, hey, let's stop meditating. This sucks. This is boring. Screw this. Come on, let's I gotta do some work because if I don't make that money, I'm screwed. That's the ego talking on that lid.
Mm,
Takes you away from that process. Now, if you just let that stuff roll in the mind and let it cycle, 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 just wait, let it cycle, you will drop in eventually. and then some stuff will come up. And you've got to understand, like, if you see these things inside yourself, you can't be it. If you're aware of emotions, you can't be the emotion. So there's no choice. It will go. It has to.
Mhm.
That's one universal law. Like everything has to change and move. So once the things are up and gone, let's say the men are afraid to cry. Maybe
Mhm.
they just might start crying for a few. One of the biggest fear men have is that if I cry now, I won't stop,
Mm.
which is not true.
Right.
You
I
have to.
never heard anybody say that though. That's
I've worked with
that
a lot of men,
yeah.
and one of their fear is if I start crying, I'm not going to stop.
Wow, that means they're holding a lot in.
Oh yeah, when I
Yeah.
first went through my process, I was crying for 2 hours. I mean, it stopped. Yeah, it definitely stopped. I mean, that was a long time, but I had bottled up so much grief inside myself because I was constantly hustling and constantly pushing
Yeah.
to avoid all those feelings in me, or the lack. Let's just call it lack that was inside me, all these emotions. And the result of doing that process has been quite miraculous for me if you stay with it. I mean, I stopped drinking. I don't drink anymore. Not
That's
because I have
awesome.
willpower to stop drinking, it's because I don't need to drink.
Yeah, same. I did the same thing. It's been a year. Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. I just came to a point where I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? You know, so do you recommend that, Anish, with I know you said, by yourself, be yourself, connect with yourself. Do you recommend any kind of frequencies or energy around you while you're doing that, or just kind of silence and nothing? What do you recommend for that?
Yeah, good old plain silence. Because all these other things like frequencies and sound bowls and I don't know what else is out there. I mean, you can have some incense sticks running if you want, but it's very, very simple. Yeah, sitting there and letting it come up. All these other things are kind of distractions.
Yeah.
It almost reminds me, I've done Vipassana. I don't know if you ever heard of this. If you go do Vipassana, that's 10 days straight. You meditate for 10 hours a day.
Wow, no.
Not in
I don't
one
know that.
sitting, but you have breaks.
Yeah.
Because they say, like, it was the original teachings of the Buddha. That's what they
Mhm.
would do with Vipassana. They were like, everything is just about being inside.
Mm.
To
What
be
do you
put
what do
your
you
Hmm?
what do you do with people who have lots of trauma? How do
Okay.
you how do you recommend they go through that process? Because I went through that actually, Anish. I actually sat with myself for like over an hour to 2 hours alone in my room. Nobody was home. It was quiet. So much trauma came up. I cried a lot, but I just sat there. I did what you said. Now, I didn't know I was doing that, but I did what you said. I actually let my body, because your body keeps the score, right? And I let my body go through the whole thing, the whole process. But it wasn't easy, Anish. That trauma that came up with all of the stuff that has happened to me was super hard. Now, I could tell you it's cathartic. Like when you get through it, you realize you are invincible. Like there's a lot of things that you can overcome. But Anish, I want you to talk to that. I want you to talk because I know that you have a lot of clients. So I want to also touch. I know we are almost at the mark, but I really want to know how you work with clients on this, or what you could tell somebody who will do what you're saying, and the trauma comes up. Talk to me about that.
Really good question. Is in fact that was the next thing I wanted to talk about. Yeah, sometimes it's not easy with the stuff that can come up. So I recommend that you have someone that holds a container for you,
Mm,
someone who can witness you while you're going through it, because we ultimately need a layer of safety. So this is what therapists do essentially. A good therapist will provide a container. So it's almost an energetic thing. They'll provide a safe space where you can go down into your trauma, feel safe enough, and let it all come up. And I'm here watching, witnessing to say, look, I'm here, I'm here. Not I'm saying it, but I'm
yeah,
someone
yeah.
through
Your
the
presence, your presence.
yes. And then it will all just bubble up and they'll feel much more safer in doing it. So I
Okay,
asking for support is very important. I totally
okay,
think so. Either in a group or one to one is very important. So I do that with a lot of my clients. I'm literally just witnessing what's going on and let them just let it all come out.
Mm, that must be so powerful. So I want you to touch on that real quick because I know that you have clients. You also mentioned your book, but I want to talk about that because I know that I have had many guests on my show who have actually ended up working with people who have listened to the episode to the show, and I think it's because of the fact that I love highlighting all of you because you come on here as the experts, right? And so for those who are listening, how do you work with clients? Because you just mentioned quickly and briefly that you do sometimes in groups. That must be intimidating for some people who don't want to show their vulnerable side. So I'm just wondering, how do you work with clients? What does your program look like?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I have a group container and one to one. So it depends on the client. Obviously, I have a process where I get to know them, a discovery call, and I'm just seeing what they're dealing with. And by intuition, I'll see if a container is good for them, a group container or a one to one. Because if they're going through some deep stuff, some deep traumas or something heavy, I'd probably say yes, one to one is a safer thing for them at the beginning. When they feel more comfortable, I definitely recommend the group thing because the group container will almost allow them to open up more to people and it will allow them to heal even better because
Mm,
one of the things I write in my book is intimacy is a super powerful healer. So healing is not just about shutting yourself into a cave and meditating for hours on end being by yourself. It's also about being with groups
yeah,
because the group can actually you form a bond and you release a lot of traumas very with a group. We're very tribal creatures, and I think a lot of the ancient healing processes were all done in circles. So it will depend on the person. If they're not feeling safe in a group, I'll work one to one with them so they can feel safe with me, and gradually maybe expand that to a group, and that can help also in this way. But what's a bit different for what I do is I'm not just purely about healing, because as I mentioned, I like business. I think it's important to have goals. So in my book and my process, I say we should still have a vision and goals about where we want to go in our business
yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever endeavors. So but I say let it come to you. Don't try and create it from your mind or anything because
Mm,
in
I
your
like
body,
that.
yeah.
I
So
like that.
I have two steps where we allow you to let the vision come in and allow yourself to devise goals which are energetically up to your capacity, which are realistic and are not going to overwhelm you. So once we get those, the vision and the goals, then we can use that to bring up all the resistance to those goals. Because what happens in the body is once we set our intention to a specific goal, what the body then does is that, oh, all these negative beliefs and traumas will start coming up because automatically there's a part of you that believes you don't deserve that thing, abundance, or whatever that thing
Yeah,
that you set your attention on. So
yeah,
the body will automatically allow all this, whatever you want to call it, negative emotions and beliefs, all those things will start rising to the surface. So then I have a process of dealing with that resistance once you have the goals. So it's
wow.
very practical at the same time. It's very healing because I believe we all still need to go out there and be brave and achieve things in life.
Yeah,
And at the same time, that's a part of our healing and our expansion. It's through going out there and creating things because that
yeah.
shows us how great we really are inside. So
I
it's
think because as humans, we need to aim at something, right?
yes.
Or otherwise, we lose hope. And hope is a powerful force. It's powerful. And so I love that you're intertwining the two because they are who we are, Anish. I think people need to stop thinking like I'm just a business person or I'm just a spiritual person. We touched on that a little bit in the beginning. We are all of those things, right? We're a spiritual being, we're an entrepreneur, we're a career person, whatever. We're parents, we're all these things. And so I love that you are saying, nope, you are a whole being, not a partial being. And I love that you're working with them on this. What's the name of your book?
A reset point.
Reset Point. I love that. And I think what you're doing in the world is so impactful, Anish, and so powerful. And I love the way you show up, and I love what you're dropping here because this is going to be. I know this is going to be a good episode. I mean, Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
can't wait for the see the comments. But I'm really excited about what you're doing in the world because I wish more of us would pause and recognize what we have, who we are, really, like really who we are, not us compared to somebody else, but really who we are, right? And we have a lot of garbage and we have a lot of good things. And it's okay to recognize both. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree. I think that's the problem with endless healing. People who go, so I can only find relationship once I've healed. I'm like, no, you also, that makes you focus too much on your trauma. Like you've also, yeah, you've got loads of beautiful things in you. You've got a lot of
Right.
lightness. So by going for goals, like you said, we can look at our potential and those things will release because we're not saying that we're also our potential and those things are bigger than our pain.
Mhm, mhm.
Pain is just
Wow.
a small part of who we really are.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's so good. Damn, damn, I don't want to stop talking to you, Anish. We got to wrap up. Dang it. Okay. All right. So, Anish, how do people find you, work with you, get your book, all that stuff? Because I could sit here and talk to you like all day. Like you have me in a trance. I feel like I'm hypnotized right now. So just tell me, tell me how people can really just work with you even more or follow you. Do you have like content out there that you put out for people? Like, tell me all of
Yes,
that.
yes, I do. I have my Instagram, which is on my website. So I'll tell you my website so you can find all that social media stuff. My website is anishcpatel.com. So you'll find things, more information about me, my process, my programs. Even my book is on there, and also my book is on Amazon. So I think, do you have a link on under the
Yeah,
podcast?
I'm going to put everything under there. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
There'll be a link in Amazon to my book, which is called Reset Point. The book is not just a book you read, it's got exercises and audios and a workbook. That's all included for
Oh,
free.
great.
The
Wow.
price is super cheap. It's $39.99. I mean, I'm literally giving away a lot of things for free, but I want you to get the benefit to you, so you get a taste of what this stuff is.
Yeah.
And yeah, when you go on my website, you can see my Instagram and follow all the content I have on there as well.
Thank you so much for being here today and sharing all of this beautifulness and wisdom. And you really dropped a lot of things on here that I hadn't heard before. And I'm gonna do that as I recap this beautiful video because the fact that not having sound around and just being with you, sitting there and just letting it go, letting you actually go through the whole process. The fact that meditation should be more than 20 minutes in order for it to be effective. Like those things were not said here before. So I'm really grateful for you. I'm grateful for what you're doing in the world. I'm grateful for everything that God has allowed you to go through. I don't know if you believe in God, but I
I do,
do. Yeah.
totally do.
Yeah. I totally believe in God. And I believe that all of the hardships and all the things that we go through in life is for serving others. I really believe that. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful for you and I'm grateful that we met. So thank you for being on Straight Talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Nina. It was a
Thank
pleasure, and
you.
you're amazing too. I love
Thank
your
you.
energy, and I could talk to you for hours as well. It's fun.
Same, same. I'm about to have a whole lesson here. Like, okay, Anish, go ahead, trance me out because you're amazing, guys. Thank you for joining me and Anish. I told you, right? Great guy, great energy, and I didn't do like a huge long introduction in the beginning because I wanted to get right into it because this guy is just freaking awesome. So for those of you who are just as impacted by this episode as I am, make sure that you reach out to Anish. Go get his book. And like he said, there's like sound things on there and there's like, exercises in the book and the whole thing. Let's start connecting with who we really are. And that way you are not competing with anyone else. You are just competing with you every day to just be a little bit better. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. This is Nina Perez, Straight Talk, no sugar added. Until next time.